Have you ever felt a tightness in your chest while talking to someone close? As if there's something unsaid, a sidelong glance, a compliment that feels more like disguised criticism. And even though this person is right there beside you, smiling, something inside you screams that something's wrong. The truth is, it's often not distance that hurts, but the silent falsehood of someone nearby. According to Buddhist psychology, the energy we carry and receive reveals far more than words ever could. When someone harbors hidden envy, resentment, or bitterness, it slips out in their actions, in the subtext, in their eyes. This video isn't about paranoia or perception. Often, you're blaming yourself for feeling uneasy, wondering if you're being too dramatic, when in reality, your intuition is trying to warn you. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that nothing happens by chance, especially those uncomfortable feelings that arise when we're around certain people. Behind some jokes, playful remarks, or silences, there lurk deep, dark emotions that go unspoken, but your body and soul feel them. Here, we'll show you 8 clear and highly recognizable signs that someone close to you may be hiding negative feelings toward you. This isn't just about overt hatred, but about resentment, jealousy, competition, or envy disguised as affection. By understanding these signs, you'll be able to protect your energy, act with greater wisdom, and above all, stop blaming yourself for feeling what you feel. So, take a deep breath, because as you watch this video, you might realize that certain behaviors were never your fault. Before we dive into the signs, if this topic is already resonating with you, I ask you to please subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and give this video a like. This helps spread this content to more people who, like you, may be surrounded by false affection. And if you'd like, comment below with where you're watching from. It's a way for me to see how far this message has traveled, and to feel that we're together, even from a distance, on this journey of awareness and energy protection. You know that kind of comment that comes with a smile but leaves a bitter taste in your soul? It's that joke about your body, your clothes, or your past mistakes. I'm just kidding. Relax. But deep down, you feel there's nothing funny about it. People who harbor negative feelings toward you often hide them in socially acceptable forms of aggression, sarcasm, irony, the affectionate nickname that humiliates, or that repetitive jab that always paints you as over the top, dumb, or difficult. The cruelest part is that often outsiders don't notice. It all seems normal, as if you're just close enough to tease each other. But you know it's not a joke, because it hurts. And when you try to stand up for yourself, you're accused of being too sensitive or of not knowing how to laugh at yourself. This emotional manipulation is one of the quietest mechanisms of disguised contempt. Buddhist teachings remind us that words are an expression of one's inner state. When someone repeatedly hits you with negative words, even with a smile, what they're emitting isn't lightness. It's spiritual poison. And this poison, when it builds up, can sicken your energetic field, undermine your self-esteem, and weaken your bonds with those who truly matter. These people don't openly hate you. That would require courage. Hidden hatred is a cowardly feeling, operating in the shadows, trying to diminish you until you doubt yourself. They're envious, resentful, or harboring unresolved competitiveness. Instead of dealing with their own emotions, they prefer to attack you subtly, always with the excuse of closeness. It takes a lot of awareness to see when a relationship has stopped being safe. Not every shared laugh comes from a pure heart. Sometimes, laughter is a mask. And when you start noticing that you always leave an encounter with a certain person feeling worse than when you arrived, your energy drained, self-esteem bruised, and negative thoughts about yourself swirling, something is deeply wrong. Don't ignore your intuition. If your body and soul are signaling discomfort, pause and observe. It's easy to believe you're overreacting, especially when this person is close, like an old friend, a sibling, or a coworker. But no shared history justifies the habit of hurting you in silence. And most importantly, you don't have to accept jokes that hurt just because they come from someone you've known for a long time. True friendship, true affection, never comes with disguised humiliation. Stay alert. Sometimes, contempt dresses up as laughter. Have you ever noticed that some people seem visibly uncomfortable when something good happens to you? You share something that made you happy, a work achievement, a personal project, a positive change in your life, and their response is always lukewarm, indifferent, or even subtly critical. It might come as a joke implying you're full of yourself, or a hollow, "oh cool," that shuts the topic down immediately. This isn't about humility or simplicity. It's about someone who feels uneasy with your growth. People who secretly feel envy or anger toward you rarely manage to celebrate your victories wholeheartedly. Deep down, your progress confronts the frustrations they carry and refuse to admit. Instead of facing this, they prefer to diminish those who are rising, trying to maintain an illusion of emotional balance. It's as if, unconsciously, they think, if I'm not doing well, you shouldn't be either. This behavior often goes unnoticed because it's cloaked in sarcasm, realistic advice, or camouflaged concern. But over time, you realize that whenever something good happens to you, their energy shifts. The conversation loses its spark. Their gaze avoids yours. And their words, even if smiling, carry a faint venom. Your light bothers them because it illuminates a shadow they don't want to see. According to Buddhist psychology, this behavior stems from a deep identification with the ego and a difficulty rejoicing in others' happiness. For those still trapped in comparison and competition, seeing someone flourish can feel like a threat, not out of explicit malice, but from an internal state of scarcity, where another's success feels like their own defeat. It's important to note that this isn't always conscious. Sometimes the person genuinely believes they're being honest or grounded, but the emotional frequency behind their actions speaks louder than words. There's a pattern. Every time you shine, they try to dim your light, even if subtly. Living with such people can erode your confidence over time, because it's not direct criticism, but small pinpricks that wound slowly. Before you know it, you're doubting your own worth, over-explaining yourself, seeking permission to be happy. That's never healthy. You don't need to cut off everyone who doesn't cheer for your successes, but you do need to recognize who strengthens you and who weakens you. True friendship is one that roots for you, even when they're not at their best. If someone can't watch you win without discomfort, maybe the problem was never you. Have you noticed how some people are amazing when you're alone together, but change completely in a group? That friend who listens to you, seems close, even generous, but as soon as someone else shows up, they distance themselves, dim your shine, cut you off in conversations, or act like your connection is irrelevant. This is more common and more painful than it seems. This shift in behavior is a clear sign that deep down, this person has unresolved conflicts about you. Maybe they admire something in you but don't want others to notice. Maybe they're jealous of your light, your authenticity, and try to trim you down in front of others. It's as if your presence overshadows something they want to project, and that bothers them deeply. Such people often live in an internal game of comparison. Buddhism teaches that the ego seeks to protect and elevate itself, but when someone else shines naturally, an insecure ego feels threatened. So it acts, not directly, but subtly, covertly. This public distancing is one of the most visible signs. This person might still maintain a bond with you, but they choose their contexts carefully. Alone, they praise you, open up, share. But in a group, they act like you're just another person. You feel it in your body. The discomfort, the sudden silence, the glances that exclude you, the pain of being diminished by someone who claims to care about you. Sometimes this is hidden under excuses. Oh, I'm just more reserved around others. I don't like showing off friendships. But deep down, you sense it. It's not about discretion, it's about fear. Fear of you shining brighter. Fear of losing their space. Fear that others might like you more than them. It's a tough truth to face. Those who truly love you show you off with pride, include you in conversations, and value your presence, even when others are around. They want the world to see what makes you special. When someone hides that or treats you coldly in public, it's because something deeper and unresolved exists between you. If you've experienced this, know you're not overreacting. The perception you had was real. Sometimes envy, fear, or insecurity come disguised as quiet friendship. Recognizing this is a crucial step to protecting yourself. Let's move forward. Have you ever noticed how certain people close to you seem to absorb who you are, but never mention you? It's that coworker, friend, or even relative who observes your tastes, your style, your interests, your words, and suddenly starts mimicking them as if they had the same ideas spontaneously. At first, you might find it amusing. It might even seem like admiration. But as time goes on, this pattern starts to bother you. And for good reason. Imitation is one thing, but erasing you from the story is something else entirely. This person hears you talk about a book, an idea, a new concept. 2 weeks later, they're recommending the same thing to others as if it were their own discovery. Or you share a new habit you're adopting, like meditation, morning reading, or fasting, and without ever mentioning you, they become practically an evangelist for it, taking all the credit. The frustration hits when you realize that beyond not being acknowledged, you're ignored when you try to continue the conversation or dive deeper into the topic. They no longer need you, just what you brought. In Buddhist psychology, this behavior can be seen as a reflection of silent envy. The person admires your essence, but unable to cope with feeling lesser, they try to absorb what's valuable about you without recognizing its source. They want the shine, but not you. It's as if they're saying, I like what you bring, but I can't value you for it, because that would put me beneath you. So they drain you quietly, hidden behind coincidence. This kind of imitation isn't healthy because it's not an exchange. It's not about being inspired and building something new together. It's about siphoning off your originality to feel better about themselves. Worse still is when this person starts getting public recognition for something that, deep down, came from you. It feels like invisible theft, and you might feel crazy for thinking about it, as if you're overreacting, but you're not. Your intuition is right. Over time, this silent repetition can lead to emotional exhaustion. It's as if you're constantly being copied, but never acknowledged. Your creative energy drains without return. You feel used, unseen. That's the big sign. When your presence inspires, but your person is discarded. They want what you have, but they don't want to deal with the fact that it came from you. Such people often struggle to give compliments. They can't say, "That's amazing. You taught me something." Their pride, wounded ego, or feelings of inferiority block that acknowledgement. This is a beautifully written and powerful reflection on emotional dynamics, drawn with clarity and spiritual insight. Here's a fully punctuated and refined version of your message. The flow has been preserved, and where needed, I've broken longer sections into digestible parts to enhance readability without compromising your voice or depth. Instead, they subtly silence you, talk over you, take the lead. And if you confront them, you risk seeming paranoid. Because it's all done so subtly, it appears normal, but it's not. Healthy relationships are built on exchange, recognition, and gratitude. When you truly inspire someone, they want to be with you, not be you. They value you. They thank you. They invite you to share. If you feel someone is taking everything you are without giving you space, attention, or even a thank you, you might be dealing with someone who doesn't openly hate you, but secretly can't stand to see you shine. Have you ever tried sharing something important about your life, a success, a worry, a moment of joy, and suddenly the conversation shifts entirely to the other person? It's as if your moment never gets a chance to breathe. You start talking about a project that excites you, and they immediately interrupt with, "Wow, that reminds me of when I did something like that." Or you vent about a struggle, and they quickly bring up a worse or more interesting story about themselves. This habit of redirecting focus is a clear sign that someone may be harboring negative feelings like envy or competition, even if disguised as empathy. This isn't just a lack of attention. It's a pattern. People who constantly steer the conversation back to themselves often can't handle you taking center stage, even for a moment. Deep down, they may feel uneasy with you shining, expressing yourself, or being heard. Buddhist psychology teaches that the ego, when fixated on validation, feels threatened when someone else gets attention. So instead of listening, they subtly steal the spotlight to feel in control. Sometimes this is disguised as support. They might start with, "Wow, that's cool," or "I get what you're going through." But soon, the conversation turns into a monologue about their experiences. You realize your story got swallowed. What was supposed to be a moment of connection becomes an implicit competition. The most frustrating part is that you end up feeling invisible, as if your emotions, achievements, or struggles don't matter as much as theirs. That emptiness is a sign. The energy exchange isn't healthy. What makes this so painful is that it can be mistaken for closeness. After all, they're talking animatedly, sharing something related so it seems like they're engaged. Right? Wrong. When it becomes a constant pattern, you notice there's no room for you in the conversation. Your voice is drowned out, your experience minimized. They seem more interested in asserting themselves than understanding you. That's the ego at work, trying to dim your light to keep theirs burning. In the Buddhist view, true connection comes from compassionate listening and genuine presence. When someone truly listens, you feel your story matters. Your emotions have value. But when they use your words as a springboard to talk about themselves, it reveals an inability to rejoice in you or embrace you fully. It's a sign of deep insecurity, manifesting as a need to always be the center, even if it means erasing you. The impact on your energy is huge. You might leave such a conversation feeling exhausted, devalued, even confused. Did I talk too much? Was my story not that interesting? These thoughts are traps, planted by the other person's ego. The truth is, people who constantly redirect focus aren't ready to see you shine because it confronts their own insecurities. Unconsciously, They'd rather silence you than face that. Protecting your energy means recognizing this pattern and setting boundaries. You don't need to fight or confront directly, but you can start choosing who you share your most precious stories with. Save your vulnerability for those who know how to listen, who give you space. Because a true relationship is an exchange, not a competition. If someone always needs to turn your light into their shadow, it might be time to rethink their place in your life. Have you ever received advice that, on the surface, seemed well-meaning, but left you with a heavy feeling or doubt about yourself? It's that comment that starts with, "I just want what's best for you," or, "If it were me, I'd do it differently." It might be about your career, your relationship, your appearance, even small daily choices, like what you eat or how you spend your time. These criticisms, disguised as concern, are a classic sign of someone who, deep down, may be harboring resentment or envy, trying to control or diminish you without seeming cruel. These people rarely criticize openly or aggressively, because that would be easy to spot and confront. Instead, they use a friendly tone, often with a smile or a concerned expression. "Don't you think you're taking too big a risk with this new project?" Or, "Are you really happy with the person you chose?" These phrases seem harmless, but they carry a subtle venom. They plant seeds of insecurity, making you question your decisions, your worth, your ability to choose what's best for you. In Buddhist psychology, constant criticism, especially disguised, reflects a heart trapped in judgment. When someone feels envy or discomfort with your path, they may unconsciously try to pull you down to a place where they feel safer. Especially when your choices reflect courage, authenticity, or growth, your boldness bothers them, because it highlights the limitations they haven't yet faced within themselves. What makes this so dangerous is that it can be mistaken for genuine care. After all, who hasn't received advice from someone close? But there's a difference. True advice seeks to strengthen you. Disguised criticism seeks to weaken you. Even if the person doesn't admit it to themselves, you feel it in your body. A tightness, a sense of being judged, a need to justify or explain yourself. That's your intuition signaling. Something's off. Over time, these subtle criticisms can erode your confidence. You start hesitating before making decisions, wondering if you're on the right path, seeking external validation. That's exactly what the person, consciously or not, wants. To keep you in a place of doubt where they feel more comfortable or superior. It's a delicate but deeply harmful emotional game that can make you question your very essence. Protecting yourself requires clarity and firmness. Start observing. Has this person ever praised you without reservations? Have they ever celebrated your choices without trying to improve them? If the answer is no, you may be dealing with someone who can't stand to see you confident in your decisions. It's not about explicit malice, but an internal discomfort they project onto you. And you don't need to carry that weight. Buddhist wisdom teaches us to listen to ourselves before listening to others. Your inner peace is your greatest guide. If someone constantly makes you doubt your path with advice that judges more than supports, it might be time to limit the space they have in your life. Choose to be around those who encourage you to be yourself without fear, without guilt, without doubt. Have you ever tried saying no or setting a boundary with someone close, and the response was an awkward silence, a passive-aggressive remark, or even an accusation that you're being selfish? People who harbor negative feelings toward you often react poorly when you establish boundaries. They may make you feel guilty, as if protecting your energy, time, or peace is a personal attack on them. This is a powerful sign that the relationship may be laced with resentment or emotional manipulation. When you say, "I can't right now. I need some time for myself," they might respond with, "Wow, you're so busy now, huh? You didn't used to be like this." These words, often delivered with hurt or sarcasm, are designed to make you feel wrong for prioritizing yourself. Deep down, this reveals that the person doesn't accept your autonomy. Your self-prioritization threatens the control they want to have over you. In the Buddhist view, setting boundaries is an act of compassion for yourself and for others. It honors your energy and creates healthier, more balanced relationships. But for someone trapped in ego, your boundaries can feel like rejection or a loss of power. If they're already feeling threatened by envy or competition, they may see your independence as an affront, forcing them to face their own insecurities or emotional neediness. What makes this so insidious is that it puts you in an emotional trap. You want to be kind, to keep harmony, so you end up giving in, even when it harms you. But every time you sacrifice your boundaries to please someone, you lose a piece of your peace. And they, consciously or not, benefit from that imbalance. This is often accompanied by emotional manipulation. The person might use silence, a stern face, or even tears to make you feel like you're the problem. They say, "I just wanted to help. I miss you." But what they're really saying is, "I miss having the version of you I could control." So what's working well? 1. Empathetic tone. The tone is compassionate and grounded, which makes the listener feel seen and validated. It reads like a trusted friend or mentor speaking directly to the heart. 2. Real-life relatability. Examples like subtle one-upping, passive-aggressive comments, fake apologies, or disguised envy are all too common, and you call them out with clarity. Many people will recognize these behaviors and feel relieved to have a name for their discomfort. 3. Clear use of Buddhist psychology. The integration of Buddhist principles such as detachment, ego awareness, and self-compassion adds a spiritual and philosophical grounding that enhances the emotional depth. 4th, message of empowerment. The shift from identifying toxic behavior to offering gentle but firm advice, like protecting your energy, setting boundaries, and listening to intuition, empowers the listener without encouraging bitterness. 5. Seamless transitions. The transitions between different types of emotional manipulation, subtle silencing, disguised criticism, guilt-tripping, deflection of blame, are natural and well-paced. It feels like a single, cohesive journey. Suggestions for refinement if you're polishing for publication or voiceover. 1. Slight repetition. Reduction. A few phrases and ideas recur a bit too often, like resentment or envy, protecting your energy, or Buddhist psychology teaches. While repetition can emphasize key points, a bit of variety in phrasing would make the script even more dynamic. Example, instead of repeating Buddhist psychology teaches, you might vary it with phrases like, according to Buddhist wisdom, from a mindfulness perspective, in contemplative traditions. 2. Tighten up for rhythm, for video or spoken word. Some sections could benefit from slight condensation for pacing. Trimming some longer sentences would help maintain engagement in a visual or auditory format. Example, original. It's not about abandoning those you love, but about respecting yourself enough to stop seeking affection where it's not freely given. Condensed. You're not abandoning love. You're honoring yourself by no longer chasing affection that isn't freely given. 3. Clarify call to action, if for YouTube. The final CTA, Like, subscribe, comment, is solid but could feel a little more emotionally connected to the piece's tone. Example, instead of, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Try. If this spoke to your soul, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and share your story below. It could be the lifeline someone else needs.